And now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, let's bring in Dr. Ibrahim Modibo. He is a media executive and political commentator. Dr. Modibo, glad to have you with us today on the newspaper review.
Thank you very much, Charles and Yolanda.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure being here with you today.
You're absolutely welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So straight to our own in-house publication, and that's This Day newspaper. Of course, right over at the top, we have the headline, Alake, Tinubu's reforms yielded 6.9 billion naira revenue in mining fees in the first quarter of the year 2025, processed nearly 1,000 title applications with hundreds of licenses approved. And of course, we have right under the masthead there, Nigeria has too many underutilized airports. Well, lots of white elephant projects all over the place in the name of airports, but maybe some governors would want that to count as their legacies, but not being used, and probably many of them in a state of disrepair. But then we have the screaming banner headline there, 2027, Patience Jonathan rules out husband's return to Aso Rock, endorses Tinubu. So the endorsement for the sitting president ahead of 2027 continues, this time around from the spouse of a former president who insists her husband has no interest, or at least she has no interest, in returning to Aso Rock. So it appears the Tinubu juggernaut is very well on course, Dr. Modibo.
Thank you very much once again, Charles. I consider this as a political statement for very obvious reasons. You see, under the present circumstance where we are heading towards a one-party state, I am very sure that political tacticians, bureaucrats, and people of thought, they are meeting under the dark cover of the night. Mm-hmm. You know, politicians, they don't meet in the daytime so much, but under dark cover, as I stated. Mm-hmm. Therefore,
like yesterday.
Yes, any serious-minded politician in this country will never think Nigeria will go into a one-party state. And let me reassure Nigerians that this coming from Mrs. Jonathan, I consider a political statement, because you're saying that she knew the wife of the president for a long time and that they've been in good terms, this and that. She doesn't want her husband to jump into the fray so as not to annoy or not to criticize the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes.
You know,
but
well,
you see, let me just learn.
Okay.
You see, the issue of criticism, didn't Tinubu criticize Goodluck Jonathan when he was the president?
He did.
He did. Therefore, this is politics. And politics, nobody, as it is today, if the president jumps or the former president jumps into a fray immediately, it will attract a lot of attention to him. So I think they are trying to work out modalities to suit his possibilities of bringing him in, because a lot of people have been clamoring for the return of Goodluck Jonathan, because to them, under Jonathan, they were more friendly, economic environment, political, social, security-wise, and almost everything. But now people are suffering. They are suffering, and this suffering seems to have a kind of, breaking the nervous system, especially of the country. And therefore, Mrs. Jonathan will have every right to say that, look, my husband is not going. But she cannot determine what Nigerians want. If Nigerians want Jonathan to come back, he can come back, and there's nothing that woman can do, because I don't think the wife of the president will have an overwhelming thinking far and above Nigerians.
Well, I agree with you that yes, it is up to former President Goodluck Jonathan to decide whether or not he wants to come back. But you see, Mrs. Jonathan was speaking in the context of having a relationship with Mrs. Tinubu, that they've had this very excellent relationship even while she was still in office. So probably when their husbands were at each other's throats, politically speaking, the two women had a fantastic relationship. So she feels, and this is what she said, that if it's your turn, I support you. If it's not your turn, step back. So, well, according to Mrs. Jonathan, this is Mrs. Tinubu's turn, and by extension her husband's turn to be in office, so that's what she would be supporting.
Well,
so it's in the context of, the two women's relationship. Yolanda, what's up?
Yes, I wanted to say, Charles, that seems like a very surface level way of looking at it. I'm not really deep into politics, but Dr. Ibrahim here, you're a political commentator. What do you think part of the underlying agenda could be with this kind of move?
You see, both women are not presidents.
That's right.
Therefore, they cannot speak on the modus operandi of politics in Nigeria. I've been within the political circles for a very long time, and I can tell you, politicians, they speak with both sides of the mouth. They can say this in the daytime, and tomorrow or in the night, it's another version entirely. Therefore, if people, Nigerians are interested in former President Goodluck Jonathan, I can tell you, they can break the jinx of what the former wife of the president was saying. Their relationship has nothing to do with politics. They are women. They can go into fashion. They can go and do all this thing. It's okay for them.
Be careful what you say.
Yes,
no.
Before you end up sounding like President Buhari, who made that Azarum comment.
No, not Azarum.
Right.
Standing beside a female president.
No, I really appreciate, your commentary on especially that fashion that I saw not long ago. If you see, to be candid, I don't know what fashion is turning into. Let us have circumspect of what fashion actually is, but then let's leave that one by the side. Now we're talking politics. You see, women, they have serious influence, but that is not to say that they'll be able to have an overriding kind of notion over their husband's involvement in politics. And if you look at the African context, presidents, you see one president sometimes, some of them 48, 49, 50 years, still in presidency, extending their rules. Have their wives advise them against it. The wife can be inconsequential when it comes to the real action, the real politicking. And also, Mrs. Jonathan might be even tactically an approach. By saying that now her husband is so interested that she's going to support Tinubu for 2027, it is a subtle way of trying to cool down the nerves of the president to see that there is no challenge. But I'm telling you, anything within 24 hours can happen in politics.
Actually change. All right, then talking about what can happen in politics, you did make a reference to Nigeria gravitating towards a one-party state. So let's pull up the Daily Trust, because we actually have that headline about this one-party state issue, as the main headline in the Daily Trust. So let's pull up the Daily Trust quickly, and over there in the Daily Trust, let's have the Daily Trust on our screen now.
Please go on.
Ganduje under fire over one-party state comment. That's the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress and former governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, talking about the one-party state issue. Well, he did make reference to the fact that a multi-party system spoils governance, saying today China is one of the strongest countries in the world and is a one-party system. We're not saying we're working for a one-party system, but if this is the wish of Nigerians, we cannot quarrel with that. They say too many cooks spoil the soup, so too many political parties spoil governance. That comes from the APC national chairman and former Kano State governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, and his remarks come amid the wave of defections to the APC. So, apparently he is justifying that, but his comments have come under very serious criticism, because he seems to be advocating, subtly, this gravitation towards a one-party system. But do you think it can work in the Nigerian context?
You see, Charles, the thought of having Nigeria going into a one-party state is pedestrian. As far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is too big a country. It's not like these banana republics that where you have one dominant party, taking over power completely. No.
But Abdullahi Ganduje did make reference to one of the biggest economies in the world, China, one-party system, and it's actually working for them. That's why he feels that probably it could also work for Nigeria if a multi-party democracy is probably not working for our country.
But you see, China, it has monolingual, you know, they are people of the same character and content.
Yes.
Unlike Nigeria, why did we borrow our democracy for? The beauty of democracy is the beauty of mass participation in democratic practices, which involves having multi-party democracy and also having, you know, the beauty of opposition. Any democracy that does not have opposition, does not have multi-party, it's not democracy. China is being ruled by iron hands. That's why it has one-party state. But Nigeria is too big for that. Let me tell you, it's not possible. I think it's a daydream. It is a wishful thinking for the chairman of APC to think that Nigeria will go into a one-party state. I don't think any serious-minded politician, any senior-minded politician without deceptive impunity will know that Nigeria is too big for one-party state. Let us have multi-party system. The winner takes it. Let the beauty of democracy prevail. Why did we borrow democracy from? America, let's say, even with our former colonial master Britain, are they operating on one-party system? No. So China is just one of the few countries in the whole world that practices one-party system. And that is not good enough, you know, for healthy competition, for viability in terms of content and character. And when you look at even the current trend of events where Professor Pat Utomi is trying to form a kind of, is it an alternate government or this government in, what do they call it, Charles? Or Yolanda? He has
a parallel government.
No, not parallel.
Okay. Because, I say either you have a parallel government, a government in waiting, or is there
it's a stopgap measure taken, you know, alternative this thing, so that they will be able to look at the problems of Nigeria, decipher the problems, look at them in both content and character, and also try to strategize with a view to giving opposition, because they felt that the opposition as it is currently is not giving the right tonic to the present government. Because under normal circumstances, Yolanda, you'll agree with me, any country that is guided by reason and democracy must have a viable opposition. They should be able to criticize the government constructively and also issue alternatives. That is the beauty of democracy.
All right. I think there is still hope anyway, because just last night, you know, the governors of the People's Democratic Party, the main opposition party, decided to come together, resolve their differences, and probably move the party forward. So let's pull up the Nigerian Tribune. The story is there on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Very interestingly, one of the names mentioned there is the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, who to all intents and purposes is a member of the People's Democratic Party still, but is serving in the All Progressives Congress, which is the ruling party anyway. So Wike Ikpeazu Ugwanyi Otom attend PDP governors meeting. Saraki Tambuwal, Lamido Oyinlola Odom also in attendance. That's talking about the former governors under the People's Democratic Party, along with the current governors, I believe between 7 and 11 of them, you know, coming together under the chairmanship of the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, to meet. So apparently the People's Democratic Party trying to put their house in order. So just like you said, Dr. Modibo, it is not all geared towards a one-party system yet, but what are the hopes of the People's Democratic Party being able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and presenting a formidable opposition against the ruling APC come 2027?
I think, in all honesty, and looking at the issues, in fact, let us properly situate and then contextualize the issue of politicking under the PDP. To me, calling the names of Wike and all that coming into the party, I look at it, this is my personal opinion, I look at it as if there are some malls that are deliberately setting booby traps with a view to killing the party from moving forward. We must have a viable opposition. Any government that does not have opposition is not fit to be called itself a government, especially within the concepts of democracy. Therefore, to me, I want to believe that PDP is on the right track of transition. It should look at its issues dispassionately. To me, they should have the nerves to even sack anybody that they see as a mole that is anti-progress of the party. For very obvious reasons, without looking inwards and without them, sitting down to properly articulate their positions, to look at the parties dispassionately, and also to look at the frontiers with a view to broadening the spectrum of political discourse in this country. We're heading to nowhere. But I'm happy that SDP is also cropping up very strongly, because I've seen a lot of people go into it. And also I've seen one other party like this, I'm sure, based on consensus of opinion by others, are trying to form another political party to get registered. That's the beauty of democracy. I want to believe that no serious-minded person, let me repeat again, that will sit down and be comfortable that they want one-party system that will just usher in the government just like that without opposition. I think Nigeria is not that country.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Modibo. In the Punch there, FG taps XAGF. That's in the front page of the Punch newspaper. Well, it's about the People's Democratic Party taking on the federal government over the issue of this emergency rule. We could have discussed that in detail, but time is far spent. We actually spent so much time discussing this issue of the one-party system in Nigeria. And Yolanda, some of these foreign stories getting lost inside, these discussions. But of course, the very interesting thing there, remember that the Donald Trump actually sitting at the table with China to discuss, the tariffs they've mutually imposed on each other.
Oh yes, that's big news, and I hope that we can get more from that. All these Saudi talks that are currently ongoing. But as you said, unfortunately, we won't be able to touch on that.
So that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. Thank you so much, Dr. Modibo, for joining us for today's newspaper review. We'll look forward to having you again very soon.
Thank you very much, Charles. I'm so happy to be here. I thought we were going to even discuss the issue of Britain, where it says you have to have 10 years, before you move in, and then also you have to learn English language if you are coming from anywhere.
Well, so that 5 years has been scrapped now.
Yes, it has been scrapped. So it's a very fundamental story.
Absolutely.
And I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk on this press review this morning. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm Charles Eruka.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.